My name is Saul Schniderman. I'm a retired federal employee. I also was president of my union at the Library of Congress, and I'm now the chair of the Labor Heritage Foundation. How did I get involved with Mother Jones? Well, in 1970, I was working at McKeldin Library at the University of Maryland as a library technician, and I was in the mailroom. I was the guy that carried the mail around the library, which is a great job if you're going to be a shop steward, because not only do you know everybody in the building, but you get to visit them twice a week, and everybody likes the letter carrier. So I started organizing the union there, and the management decided to repress me and say, we've got to take this shop steward off the mail, and they actually gave me a good job. They said, you're now going to be a cataloging technician, and you're going to learn how to process books. I filed a grievance about it, but I ended up liking the job, and I sat there and I got all these books. And one of the things about working in a library is you get to see all these books. And this book came across my desk called Only a Miner. It's by Archie Green, who's a labor folklorist, and it's based on the song, "Only a miner killed under the ground. Only a miner and one more is found. Killed by some accident, there's no one can tell. Your mining's all over, poor miner, farewell." I said, hey, let me see what's going on. And there was a chapter in here about Mother Jones. And it said in the book that Mother Jones died in Silver Spring, Maryland. Actually, she died in Hyattsville, Maryland, but it was close by. Well, I went to high school in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I said, well, I wonder where she died, right? So I decided to devote myself to try to find the house that she died in. And it's a bit of a long story, because I wasn't a historian, I'm not a researcher. I went to Prince George's County and tried to find land deeds with the name of what turned out to be Lillian and Walter Burgess, because in the book it said that Mother Jones had died at the farmhouse of Walter and Lily Mae Burgess, who had a truck farm there. So I knew that at Catholic University there was a collection of Mother Jones papers, and I went to Catholic University, took a day off work, and I started looking through the papers of Lillian Mae Burgess and the Mother Jones collection, and saw an advertisement that said, or not an advertisement, but something in the Social Post that said, Lily Mae Burgess celebrated her 50th anniversary at the Burgess farm, and various people attended. And then back in the 30s, this is what they would do. They would list the names of the people that attended an anniversary. And it said, Mr. and Mrs. Fowler from Tacoma Park, Maryland were there. Well, here this was in 1970, 40 years afterwards. And I said, well, wait a minute, I live in Tacoma Park. Does anybody ever remember telephone books, when you could get a telephone book and look under somebody's last name? So I decided I was going to go to the Maryland telephone book and look under the name Fowler and start making telephone calls and saying, does the name Mother Jones mean anything to you? Well, after about 3 or 4 calls, and people said, what? Somebody said, Mother Jones? I haven't heard that word mentioned in many, many years. You need to call my cousin, Bert Fowler. And they gave me the phone number of somebody living in Adelphi, Maryland, or Hyattsville, which is now Hyattsville. And I called him up, and I asked him the same question, does the name Mother Jones mean anything to you? And he said, are you kidding me? I parked cars at her 100th birthday party. I'm the nephew of Lily Mae Burgess, right? And I'm still living in the area. And as a matter of fact, I have got a manuscript in my attic called The Last Days of Mother Jones, written by Lily Mae Burgess. So, of course, I visited him and helped him get the manuscript of Lily Mae Burgess into the library at West Virginia University. But this started me on my life's journey to find out about the last 2 years of Mother Jones's life, right? And to eventually, in 2000, get the Maryland Historic Trust to put a marker up at the site of the Burgess farm where she died. Mother Jones died on November 30th, 1930. and at 11:55. And after she died, her body was taken to St. Gabriel's Church in Northwest Washington, where a funeral was held, mass was said for her, and then she was put on a train and taken to Mount Olive, Illinois, to be buried with her boys at the Union Minor Cemetery. About a year after she died, Gene Autry, the singing cowboy, released a song. He didn't write the song, but he recorded it, called The Death of Mother Jones. The world today is mourning the death of Mother Jones. Grief and sorrow hover over the miners' homes. This grand old champion of labor has gone to a better land, but the hard-working miners, they miss her guiding hand. O'er the hills and over the valleys, in every mining town, Mother Jones was ready to help them. She never let them down. In the front were the striking miners. She always could be found. She received a hearty welcome in every mining town. With a spirit brave and fearless, she hated that which was wrong, and she never gave up fighting until her breath was gone. May the workers all get together and carry out her goal and bring back better conditions for every laboring soul. The death of Mother Jones. So, how did Mother Jones come to be in Maryland? Did Mother Jones have a home? She traveled all over the country, organizing unions and agitating for the working class. She said, "My address is like my shoes. It travels with me. I abide where there's a fight against slavery." But when she came to Washington, she stayed at the home of her old friend Terence Powderly, who was one of the founders of the Knights of Labor. And Terence and Emma Powderly had a house in Northwest Washington by 5th Street on Rock Creek Church Road, which, by the way, is still there. And there's now a small progressive Catholic order who occupies the house. Well, Mother Jones knew the Powderlys, so when she came here, she visited them and stayed in their home. Now, out here in Hyattsville, there was a couple named Lillian Mae Burgess and her husband Walter, and they had a small truck farm, and they sold vegetables in Washington, D.C., and they happened to sell vegetables, some of the produce from their farm, to the Powderlys. And one day, the Powderlys invited them to dinner, and they met Mother Jones. And they had a car. This is in 1927, 28. They asked Mother Jones to come out and take a look at the farm, which was very quiet, very desolate, very beautiful. After all, it was 6.5 miles from the D.C. line, which was rural Maryland at the time. Mother Jones fell in love with the place. I think one reason she did is it had something that she never had in her life, which was peace and quiet. It was a quiet place, and it was beautiful. And she decided, and basically, as Mother Jones only would, informed the Burgesses that she would be staying there, first temporarily and then permanently. And Lily Mae Burgess, the Burgesses had no children. Lillian, or Lily Mae, fell in love with Mother Jones, and for the last 2 years of her life, from 1928 to 1930, it said in the newspapers that she was Mother Jones's nurse, but we would call her a caregiver. She took care of Mother Jones. I don't think Mother Jones had any terminal illnesses, but she was in ill health and she was frail, and Lily Mae took care of her. and handled her affairs with the help of union officials in Washington, including from the Chicago Federation of Labor, who were keeping an eye on her. They were worried because the Burgess farm was so isolated. They were worried about, it had no telephone in there, and they were worried about the deep snows. What if it was snowed in? But Mother Jones loved it there. And on May 1st of 1930, the Burgesses decided to throw a 100-year birthday party for Mother Jones. And this was a big event in the area. There were over 1,000 people who attended this. For weeks before the party, there were telegrams arriving at the Burgess farm, and this is written down in Lily May's papers, that they came by motorcycle from Washington, D.C., and they woke Mother Jones up, and she squawked about it, right? Her birthday was celebrated with labor leaders that were here. There was an army of the unemployed that marched in from Washington to attend. There was a birthday cake with 100 candles on it that was donated by the Bakers Union. And she came down, she was frail, she came down and sat under a tree. And there was a newsreel reporter there who said, I want to take a video, it wasn't called video then, take a moving image of film of Mother Jones. And it's the only film and audio that we have of her speaking, and you can still see it on YouTube if you call up Mother Jones Speaks. She looked into the camera, and this is what she said. I long to see the day when labor will have the destinies of the nation in her own hands, and she will stand as a united force and show the world what the workers can do. So you can see, even in her old age, at age 100, she still had the spunk and the drive as the most dangerous woman in America, the miner's angel, and what they called her in the last few years of her life at the Burgess farm, the grand old champion of labor. So let me say this, because people say, did she really live to be 100 years old? Well, at the time that the Maryland Historic Trust put the marker up, which said she lived to be 100, it was recognized that she was 100 years old. And her birthday party, by the way, was reported on all over the United States, including on the front page of many, many newspapers. So of course she was 100. But Elliot Gorn, her biographer, went to Cork, Ireland some years later and found baptismal records indicating that she was really born on August 1st, 1837, which would have made her 93. So people say, was she lying? No, not really, because, as Elliot Gorn in his biography pointed out, in 1890, when she decided to join the staff of the UMWA and become a full-time organizer and agitator for the working class, she decided that she was going to change herself, and she was no longer Mary Harris Jones, the immigrant girl who came here from Ireland. No, she was going to be Mother Jones, and part of the transformation was the way she dressed. To look like the grandmother of dissent. As somebody once called her the grandmother of dissent, and she said, no, I'm not, I'm the great-grandmother of dissent. So she had to be older, and she had to look the part because she wanted to get into the newspaper. She wanted to win strikes. She came and supported workers and came in from when they called her. And it had to be drama. It had to have the effect of an agitator. So she picked May 1st. The day of the Haymarket Martyrs, to be her birthday. And so, of course, she told everyone she lived to be 100 years old. So that's the story of Mother Jones in Maryland. We oftentimes lay a wreath at the historic marker on May 1st. What's interesting about the story is that after Mother Jones died, Lily May, and 2 years later, Lillian's husband died, she decided to turn her home into a retirement home, because after all, she'd cared for Mother Jones the last 2 years. She found out she had these skills. And she ran that home as the Mother Jones Rest Home. until 1954. People remember old folks rocking on their rocking chairs on Powder Mill Road. And she advertised it, by the way, in the Washington newspapers. It said, please retire in Hyattsville, Maryland, at the Mother Jones Rest Home, the home that Mother Jones died in. I've been to, when the church bought the property, I found it. I went into the church offices and found the deed and found out the very site where she died. Actually, Lily Mae Burgess was invited to Mount Olive, and she actually spoke. I'm not sure what year the monument was it the third night? Was it 37 or in the 30s? Lillian Mae Burgess was invited to speak at the that famous unveiling. So that's the story, and we years later, as I say, we had the historic marker Cecil Roberts was there from the United Mine Workers. Gloria Johnson was there from the Coalition of Labor Union Women. Josh Williams was there, was from the local AFL-CIO. We had an event in the church, and we still go there occasionally on May 1st and lay a wreath for her. So the story of Mother Jones lives on, the grand old champion of labor, and this is a site here in Maryland that's going to be recognized in I think it's the 200th year birthday of our state coming up, and they're going to commemorate the stay of Mother Jones here for the last 2 years of her life. The guy that I spoke to, of course, he was a teenager when he parked cars. When I saw him, he was up in age, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, Lillian Burgess died some years later. It was his aunt. And he didn't really, I have a picture of him that I'm going to show you, of him in a rocking chair with Mother Jones sitting at the Burgess farm. Mother Jones didn't have a position in a union, I don't think. She wasn't an elected official, right? But she was called on to help in strikes after they had already started, mostly, right? So somebody said she was kind of like in the theater, a walk-on who comes about and changes everything, right? She has to change everything. There's a story where she came to help the striking miners in Norton, Virginia, and she was met at the railroad depot by some mine guards, and they said, well, the mine superintendent said he didn't want to see your face around here, and she said, go tell him I didn't come to see him, I came to see the Virginia miners, right? So part of that lighting, as you say, lighting of a spark, probably had something to do with her Irish, shall we say, invective, the way she spoke, which was to galvanize the miners and to inspire the miners. You know, so somebody once said that if you convince someone of something, somebody else can come around and unconvince them. But once you inspire them, once you touch their heart, right, you've got them. And that's what Mother Jones did. She was an inspirational figure.